Hello, my name is Eric and I'm doing another one of my photography vlogs called One Body, One Lens, One Roll today. I am here at the North Inlet to Chippewa Lake and I've been here a couple times before. Give me a minute and I'll tell you what camera I got. Be right back. Okay, so I was getting the camera ready to be loaded up and prepped and stuff like that and realized that it doesn't have good batteries. I tried loading it up and just didn't have enough juice. So I will do that camera later. But that's okay, because I did bring a second camera. I did bring my Pentax LX 35mm SLR all-manual camera. Again, this is like the kingpin of Pentax manual SLR bodies. I actually did find a battery tray. Some of my previous episodes don't have the battery tray. My motor drive does work, and I can put it in, single shot, where it just takes one shot at a time, or I can dial it to continuous. It rips off. That's probably about 2 frames a second, which is typical for these power winders. I'm going to put it into S, just to try to make sure it totally works. And then today's film is some Konica SXG100. This is about 20 years out of date, expired almost 20 years to the date, expired in August of 2005. Here it is. Early November, so almost 20 years, give or take a month or two. All right, I'm going to load this up and I will be right back. Okay, because I don't know the condition of this film, I got 5 rolls of this off of eBay, so I'm using this as my baseline roll. I'm actually going to shoot it at rated, but not quite at rated. Instead of the normal 100 ISO, I'm going to shoot it at 80. That's my normal third stop overexposure that I like. Now, this is a roll of 24+3. Back in the 90s and even in the early 2000s, a couple companies would tell you that you would get some extra shots, trying to steal away from the normal Kodak and Fuji guys. Agfa, Konica, and some other companies would deliberately give you 3 extra shots. So it's like, hey, you get, for the same amount of money, you get a Kodak 24 or you get our 27. So it was kind of a gimmick back then, but you got some extra photos, so it was always a good thing. So this is a roll of 27. On the back of the camera, a bunch of other manual SLRs is that little pocket. I tore the tab off the box, put it right there so I know what film I've got in. I know how many exposures I'm supposed to get. And let me go take some photos. Let me see what I can get. The nice thing about shooting with a power winder is that it's ready for that next shot almost immediately. So I don't have to sit there and wind, or if I forgot to wind and be like, oh crap, I didn't wind the shot, and then I probably lose a shot. It's boom, it's ready to go. So that's always a good thing. Right now I'm just doing single shot. I'm not shooting any type of action that I got to worry about continuous. You heard the continuous stuff without filming it. No big deal. All right, I'm going to head down the path a bit. Let me see what I can get. So when shooting film, every film brand had its tendencies as far as color tones and stuff like that. So depending upon the season or depending upon what you're going shooting, that's what you kind of pick film accordingly. Where in digital cameras, you can just set your color palette and roll. Kodak film was always slightly warmish, so the yellows would have a little extra something, maybe the oranges. So it's late fall right now. I got yellow in the trees and stuff like that. That would be a very good time to be shooting Kodak. During the summer, Fujifilm was a little accented in the green, so the trees, the leaves would have a little extra something. Agfa film back in the 90s was a very hot tone film, so if you went out west to Grand Canyon and stuff like that, the red dirt and the sunsets would have that little extra something. Konica film was a little cool tone. For some people it was a little too much cool tone. The blues would have a little extra something, maybe even the purples would have a little extra something. But in a lot of photo labs, if you didn't have a Konica photo lab or one that was really tuned towards the Konica films, it always kind of came out a little grayish, or maybe not quite as poppy as some of the other films. But since I'm scanning the negatives through a scanner, it doesn't make that much of a difference to me. So I'm hoping I'll get some little extra blues. I got some water behind me and stuff like that, but I do have other colors about. Now, granted, not much left in the trees, except for some yellow leaf stuff and some cool, you know, trees with vines that have lost all their greenery on it. So kind of cool textures and stuff like that. All right, be right back. Let me go get some photos. All right, I'm on shot 16, just because of the fact that I know this is expired film and it's 20 years old. My first 16 shots have been at rated speed, or actually pulled back a third stop to ISO 80 instead of ISO 100. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set my exposure comp to +2, and that way, two stops is good. We're gonna go +2, and that's going to overexpose me by at least by 1 stop, because 1x is normal, 2x is double, and I'm going to see when I get the negatives back where I switched. You know what? No, I'm going to change that. I'm going to make that 3. There's somewhere in between 2 and 4, and then that way I can see the difference in negatives. And you know, since I've baselined this film, this is my baselining test. I can see where it works best for the 4 remaining rolls of film that I have. All right, let me head down that path. I got some stuff around here already. I'm gonna head down that path. I'll be right back. I did mention before, the lens I'm using today is my Pentax SMC-M 50mm 1.4. It is a manual aperture ring. I do not have auto aperture control. When I boosted the exposure comp, I also moved the shutter speed to automatic. So I'm sitting at about f5.6, and wherever the shutter speed lands, it lands. Hopefully I'm going to get some okay shots, just because the fact that it is overcast. It is a slower speed film, plus the fact that I'm exposure comping it. I am reading about a 1/30 of a second. So yeah, I might have gotten that one. I might not have, because I really wasn't prepped for it. But so hopefully I get some cool shots. I'll be right back. All right, I did some shots over by the trees that had lost all their leaves, some vines and stuff like that. And because of the overcast day, because of the exposure comp, I was shooting about an 1/8 of a second. So I'm not expecting any of those to come out. But you never know, I might get lucky. All right, I am on shot 22, so maybe 5 or 6 shots left. This lens doesn't have a great macro, but it's decent enough that I can isolate some of this stuff, and you know, not like a true macro lens or the reversing ring I've used in the past. All golden tree. See what that comes out like. Alrighty, I'm gonna head that way. Be right back. Okay, that was my last shot. So remember, these old manual cameras, there's a release button underneath the bottom. I've got to watch over this one because there's a battery eject button that looks very similar. So I'm not going to eject the batteries out of my motor drive. I'm going to turn my motor drive off. Push and hold that button, and then you sit there, you rewind, and as many shots is about as many rewinds as you're going to do. So this will be somewhere around 20. I just felt it let go. And pop that open. There's my film, all done. Okay, again, today I was at the North Inlet Trail to Chippewa Lake. It is a kind of a cool, damp November morning, as it rained last night, so I had to watch a couple of puddles and stuff like that. While my bag can handle some dampness, this cameras can't, so didn't bring this guy out in the rain. Maybe I'll grab a weatherproof camera one of these times. I did one early episode, it was a Pentax, and getting rained on is all kind of cool. Today's camera was my Pentax LX with the motor drive. I was actually using the motor drive for the first time today, and the standard SMC f1.4. Today's film was some out of date, about 20 years out of date Konica SXG. This was a 100 speed film, but and 24 exposure, but it actually gave you 3 extra. It actually told you it gave you 3 extra. For this particular film, because I'm baselining it, because I got 5 rolls off of eBay and I don't know how well it's kept, the first half of the roll I shot at ISO 80, my normal baseline ISO, but then I overexposed by about 1/3 of a stop, so I could have shot it at 100. But then for the last 12 or 13 photos, I put my exposure comp 2 plus 3. So 2 stops overexposed, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 2 stops overexposed, which should be helping out for the age if this film's good. Now I'm hoping no X-ray, no heat damage or anything like that. I won't know until I get this baseline back, and then I can decide how to shoot the rest of the film from there. So thanks for watching. The photos we post at the end, again, hopefully I get something. Feel free to give them a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe as new episodes come out about every Friday and every Saturday. So occasionally some special episodes get out there. I did one on Mansfield Reformatory where I shot 7 rolls of black and white, including about 3 rolls of infrared black and white. Really cool place if you like haunted places. Go check that episode out. Feel free to comment on what your experience is with Pentax or Pentax LX cameras or expired Konica film. Feel free to put in what your camera is, because I'm always looking out for other cameras. If I see someone saying, hey, why don't you go shoot, you know, this camera, that camera, that camera, I might keep an eye out for one. I find these on Facebook Marketplace. I find these on eBay. There's 4 or 5 of my friends that have donated film or lenses for me to use for this cause. Thank you guys, appreciate it. I got a batch of film from a photo club to do it. So sometimes you make those connections and they will help you out where they can. And of course I had to give all the lenses back, and the guy wasn't worried about the film because it was some expired Kodak Max stuff, so it wasn't anything great. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you next episode.